What's going on, guys? My name is Steve. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to Princess Diana, her life and mysterious death. I really don't know too much about Princess Diana. I understand the basics, that she was married to King Charles. She's the mother of Prince William and Prince Harry. I understand that she died in a car crash, and I believe it was the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken. But beyond those few basic facts, I don't really know anything about who she was as a person. Even though I've never looked into her, I have the impression that she was loved by the people. Not just the people of the UK, but it seems like people all over the world looked at her as a very kind-hearted, very loving, very good-natured person. It seemed like when she died, people all over the world were extremely devastated. People really loved this woman. At least that's the impression I have. But really, I don't know much of anything about her. And I was actually in the grocery store and I saw her picture on the front cover of a magazine. I don't even remember what magazine it was, but, it just got me thinking, this is a person that's, very iconic in British history. And is someone that if you're going to look into the royal family, is definitely someone, Princess Diana is definitely someone that you should learn about. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to learn about Princess Diana, her life, and her mysterious death.
In the collective memory of the people, Diana, Princess of Wales, was everything a royal should be. She was beautiful, composed, and full of compassion for those in need. And when she died in 1997, it was a horrific tragedy that shook the world. She had been robbed of a future that was looking incredibly bright, and her sons would forever be without a mother. But the dark secrets of Diana's life prove that all that glitters is not gold. Some people believe that her death was no accident and that it was actually an elaborate conspiracy designed by the royal family to silence her. In the Biographics video today, we look at Diana, Princess of Wales.
Is that still a common thought? Is her death looked at as mysterious? Do most people, or even half of the people out there, look at her death as a conspiracy? I had heard that before, but because I've never really looked into it, I don't know anything about what the conspiracy would be about, which I guess we'll find out here. But I had heard about that. Even though, you hear about things, even though you're not looking into a specific subject or a specific person, you still hear little things about her. And, I had definitely heard that there was conspiracy around her death for some reason. I don't know why.
Diana was born on July 1st, 1961, to John and Frances Spencer. It had been tradition for members of the nobility to marry one another for centuries, and her parents were no exception. Together with her two older sisters and two brothers, they lived in a mansion called Park House in Norfolk, England. As you can imagine, Diana grew up with the best things that money could buy, and she went on play dates with children in the royal family. But all of the money in the world can't buy happiness. John and Frances, they had a toxic marriage. All her life, Diana's parents never said, "I love you" to one another, or indeed to their children. They pushed off most of the parental duties to nannies or governesses. At age 9, her father sent her to boarding school. Her mother remarried to a man called Peter Shand Kidd, who was the heir to a successful wallpaper company. Her father married a woman named Rain McCorkadale, who was the daughter of a famous romance novelist. The children, they weren't present at their second father's marriage, and they had to find out about it through the newspaper. Diana and her siblings deeply resented Rain as an evil stepmother and blamed her for tearing their family apart.
Wow. So it sounds like, she had a very rough childhood. Sounds like that her parents weren't very loving to her or her siblings. And, a lot of times, it seems like she was a very good person as an adult, right? Just basically off of the little bit that I know, right? What everybody seems to say or, whatnot, what he just said here, basically. And a lot of times trauma and hard upbringings can really bring out a very kind-hearted nature in a person when they become an adult. Or it can go the opposite. It sounds like, she went to the kind side, so to speak. But, I caught earlier, she was only, 36, right? She was born in 61. I think she said died in 97. That's sad.
Diana was a shy girl and she struggled in school. She was labeled as the thick one by her family, and this was enough for her to end up crying in school every time she got a bad grade. Deep down, all she really wanted was to be loved and accepted for who she was, and dreamed of a prince who was going to take her away so she could live happily ever after. When she was just 16 years old, Diana met Charles, the Prince of Wales,
16?
for the first time. He was 29 and dating her older sister, Sarah. The relationship between Sarah and Charles, it never went anywhere, so they went their separate ways. However, Charles said that Diana made a big impression on him because he thought she was very cheerful and beautiful. When she came of age, Diana could have chosen to party like a socialite or travel the world with her family's wealth, but when she was 18, she chose the very normal life of working as a kindergarten teacher. She used her own paychecks to share an apartment with a few friends. Diana loved taking care of children, and it made her very happy to give them the love and encouragement that she never got as a little girl. At that time,
that's awesome. So she was brought up with quite a bit of wealth. I don't know how much, but it sounds like she could have like literally lived this extravagant lifestyle, not having to work, just socialite, being a socialite and traveling the world and all this other stuff. But she literally chose to become a kindergarten teacher and to kind of, I don't know, I'm not saying she distanced herself from the wealth, I don't know, but she literally paid for her own place and kind of had roommates and stuff like that and kind of lived this normal life. That's admirable, because a lot of people coming from that type of lifestyle or that upbringing of wealth wouldn't have gone that direction. That's cool.
Diana was filled with a lot of hope about her future. She said that she felt this deep sense of destiny and that one day she would grow up to do great things. Prince Charles had been dating several women over the years, including Camilla Rosemary Shand. Camilla was not wife material in the eyes of the Queen, so she married a multimillionaire named Andrew Parker Bowles. But Charles and Camilla had never actually broken off their relationship.
No. Wait, what? So wait, am I hearing this right? King Charles' current wife, he was actually dating her before Princess Diana? Wow. So it wasn't, okay. Wow, man, okay.
Relationship, and they continued having a secret affair the entire time that she was married. Charles was now in his 30s and under a lot of pressure from his mother to settle down and produce an heir. He needed a wife that was a member of the aristocracy, and Diana had all of the qualifications of a perfectly acceptable bride. After going on only 13 dates, Charles proposed to Diana when she was a barely legal 18-year-old. Even though they hardly knew one another, Diana felt as though becoming the princess was the sense of destiny that she had been waiting for all along. A couple of weeks after their engagement, the couple was interviewed by the press. Towards the end, the reporter said that they were very much in love. Diana replied, "Of course." Charles laughed, saying, "Whatever in love means." Watching the tape, you can clearly see that Diana was heartbroken. In later interviews, Diana defines that instance as the moment she knew that marrying him would be a huge mistake. However, the entire world had their eyes on her, and she knew it was her duty to go through with the marriage.
So she wasn't going, she knew she shouldn't marry this man, but she went through it anyway because all eyes were on her, basically. The entire world was expecting it. It had been blown up. And, oh man, dude, that's sad, man. That's sad, to not just a king or anything, but just to marry someone that you already know you shouldn't because there's pressure on you to do so, man. Man, it sounds like a lot of her things that have happened in her life up until this point, man, just weren't the greatest, man. Anyway, let's continue. Wow. It's interesting, though. It's very interesting.
Even to this day, Diana and Charles still go down in history for having one of the most expensive weddings. Experts estimate that today their wedding would cost anywhere from $70 to $100 million. From the perspective of the people watching the wedding on TV, it seemed like a dream come true. Diana later said, "It was the worst day of my life."
What? Wow, dude. The worst day of her life? That's horrible, man. Where is that? Hold on, I'm trying to find that image. Okay. I'm trying to figure out who all these people are. Well, I don't know. Are these... anyway, is one of these Prince Andrew and, what's the other... Isn't there another brother's name? And then there's Princess Anne, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe... anyway, it doesn't matter, I guess, but...
Watching the wedding on TV, it seemed like a dream come true. Diana later said, "It was the worst day of my life."
Man,
Their honeymoon was on the royal yacht Britannia, where Diana reportedly spent most of the time sleeping. In 1982, Charles and Diana had been married for less than a year, and she had already discovered Charles's secret relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. He started to gaslight her, saying that she was paranoid. This made her so devastated that she threatened to kill herself. Charles ignored her and started to leave to go on a horseback trip. Diana threw herself down the stairs. The Queen rushed to her aid, screaming for a doctor. While all of the attendants surrounded the princess, Charles just kept on walking. To the outside world, the marriage between Diana and Charles seemed like a fairy tale that had come to life. For the first time, people around the world were fascinated and invested in the royal couple. No matter what was going on behind closed doors, she had to smile, wave, and just pretend that everything was fine. Diana was still just a teenager when she was put under pressure by the media to be this perfect princess. Combined with her unhealthy marriage, it was enough to make her spiral into a deep depression, and she became bulimic. She had so much empathy for other people that a particularly difficult meeting visiting the poor, sick, and wounded made her mental health a lot worse. Instead of recognizing that she needed help, Diana was treated like a child throwing a tantrum, and the royal family just continued to ignore her issues. William was born when Diana was 20 years old. Just barely out of her teenage years, she was supposed to raise the future king. Little William brought a lot of joy and purpose to her life. During interviews, the press would mostly ignore her while they spoke with Charles, only to ask Diana how the baby was doing. Even though this was actually very demeaning to her, Diana's face would light up and she would gush about how much fun she was having with him. Even after giving birth to the heir, her relationship with her husband remained cold and distant. She eventually decided that if she was going to be stuck in an unfaithful marriage, she would have an affair too. When she was 23, Diana fell in love with a cavalry officer named James Hewitt. They were together about a year before her second son, Harry, was born. In pictures showing the two of them side by side, it is easy why people believe that James Hewitt might actually be Prince Harry's biological father. This is
really? That's what? Wow.
Such a popular theory that it was even turned into a stage play that was performed on the West End. Diana pushed Charles to be more involved in raising...
Okay, so wait, where's that guy at? I just want to see, did I miss it? Where is it? Oh, wait, there he is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is there anything to that? Is Prince Harry the child of a different father? That's wild, man. Wow, okay. Okay.
Be Prince Harry's biological father. This is such a popular theory that it was even turned into a stage play that was performed on the West End. Diana pushed Charles to be more involved in raising the boys instead of relying totally on nannies. When the boys were old enough to go out, she made sure they had normal experiences like water parks, McDonald's, and shopping. She also brought them to homeless shelters to pass out hot tea and food. Prince Charles, he scoffed at these ideas, asking why all of that was necessary. When she was 25, Diana fell in love with her bodyguard, Barry Manicky. They became best friends, and she felt very safe around him. He brought a lot of joy to her life, but Diana claims that they never actually crossed the line. However, most people still consider this to be an emotional affair, at the very least. Once their friendship was revealed, Prince Charles fired Manicky. Not long after leaving his job at the Royal Palace, Barry Manicky was killed in a motorcycle accident. Charles and Diana were on their way to the Cannes Film Festival in France when he told her the news. Charles mentioned Manicky's death so casually, it was as if he was talking about the weather. Diana wanted to cry, but she knew that within a few moments she would have to step out of the car and be photographed by hundreds of people. So she had to put on that smile once again and just pretend like nothing was wrong. She later said, "I think he was bumped off, but we'll never know." Diana felt that if she did not escape the marriage, she really might want to take her own life. She knew that her only hope at getting a divorce would be to get the public on her side. It was at this point that she decided to speak with a journalist named Andrew Morton about the truth of the dysfunctional household. Morton eventually published her biography called Diana, Her True Story, in her own words. For the first time in history, the public got a glimpse into the life of a royal marriage, and it certainly wasn't pretty. Charles responded by being interviewed for a documentary in 1994 called Charles, the Private Man, the Public Role, where he admitted he had an affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. Diana responded by doing an interview on BBC Panorama in 1995. During this interview, she said that she believed Charles was not a good person and he wasn't even fit to become the next king of the United Kingdom.
What? Wow, man. That's crazy, dude. Wow. These are some big allegations, man.
She believed that her son, William, would do a much better job serving the people. Diana said of herself that she wouldn't go quietly, saying, "That's the problem. I'll fight to the end." Diana and Charles were separated for years and were seeing other people. After the bickering back and forth in the media, the Queen herself demanded that they needed to officially get divorced. In 1995, Diana began dating an Egyptian millionaire named Dodi Fayed. His father was the owner of the successful Harrods department store and has the net worth of $1.6 billion, which, by the way, is far richer than the Queen. Charles and Diana were officially divorced in 1996. Charles would eventually go on to marry his longtime girlfriend, Camilla Parker Bowles.
I never
Even
knew
after
that.
leaving her position as Princess of Wales, Diana wanted to continue her destiny by making a difference to the world. She was pretty terrible at public speaking, which really was necessary during charity events and public appearances. So she started to receive vocal lessons from a former actor named Peter Sutherland. During the lessons, Sutherland set up a camera to record her progress, and he asked her questions about her personal life. These became like much-needed therapy sessions for her. She revealed secrets about her marriage and the royal family. Through these lessons with Sutherland, she was able to find her own voice and learn to thrive as a public speaker. After her death, these tapes were confiscated by the royal family and the public were not able to see them until years later. Diana, she became a traditional celebrity. Without the benefit of royal security, the paparazzi continued to follow her and write about her in the tabloids. Instead of allowing the press to only write about her hair and fashion choices, she decided to make the best of being in the spotlight by getting involved in causes that mattered to her. She raised awareness about the AIDS epidemic and traveled to several African countries to fight for the end of landmines in public spaces. One of the most famous photographs of her was with a young amputee who had had her leg blown off. Almost immediately after getting the attention of the press, the laws about landmines, they were changed. However, this was making a lot of politicians unhappy. They said that she was getting involved in issues that she didn't fully understand. Her response was that she really didn't care. She was going to fight for the people and not the politicians. Instead of wilting into quiet obscurity, Diana, she was thriving. She was no longer bulimic or depressed. She was glad to trade her title for a life of freedom. She auctioned off all of her designer gowns and gave millions to charities that she cared about. All of this only made the public love her more, and she was still a princess in the hearts of the people. After her divorce was finalized, Diana was dating an Egyptian man named Dodi Fayed. He was a multimillionaire who lived a very glamorous life. Paparazzi took photos of them on vacations around the world. The British press called him a playboy and wrote negative connotations about the fact that he was Muslim. He was actually a successful movie producer who was best known for the Oscar-winning movie Hook, starring Robin Williams. He was also the heir to the multi-billion-dollar Harrods department store fortune.
Wow.
The two of them were very much...
I know this is not anything to do with Princess Diana, but like is this whole building a department store? Wow, it's Christmas time. Okay, that's why that's why I was like wondering. Wow, they always have these lights up. Okay, anyway, let's continue.
A Harrods department store fortune. The two of them were very much in love and they planned on someday getting married. Some even believe that Diana may have been pregnant with his child. If this was true, it would have caused a lot of issues for the royal family. The idea that William and Harry could have a Muslim half-sibling, it was unacceptable. She was also threatening to reveal more and more secrets about the royal family to the press. Her charity work as well, it often interfered with money-making schemes among the nobility. Indeed, she even received death threats on a regular basis. Not long before her death, Diana wrote a letter to her butler saying that she believed her ex-husband Charles was trying to have her killed in a car accident. She also called Dodi's father, Mohammed Al Fayed, and told him the same thing. Whoa. On August the 31st, 1997, Dodi Fayed and Diana were being driven through Paris by a man named Henri Paul. Just as they entered the Alma Tunnel, they were apparently running from paparazzi and ended up in an accident. For whatever reason, every single one of the security cameras inside the tunnel just so happened not to be working that day, so there is no recording showing exactly what happened. According to witnesses, the car went into a pole at 65 miles per hour and no one was wearing a seatbelt. On September the 6th, 1997, the streets of London were lined with people mourning Princess Diana's death. Millions tuned in to watch the funeral procession on TV. The Royal Court held a trial and found that the crash was simply an accident. However, everyone present at that trial was obligated to side with the royal family, and their findings, many people think they were totally biased. However, in 1999, the French government also investigated the car crash, and they came to the same conclusion. It was simply an accident. However, in 2008, a new independent investigation found that the driver, Henri Paul, had been drinking heavily that day, and the original trial had failed to mention that. They also concluded paparazzi vehicles were, in fact, tailgating the car.
So did Henri, what, I think he said Henri Paul, is that the driver's name? Did anybody survive out of that crash? I mean, did he also pass away? Anyway.
The jury concluded that Henri Paul was responsible for the deaths, and that if he was still alive, he would be convicted of manslaughter. For some, this investigation was not enough, and one of those people was Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed. He had spent years of his life struggling with racism while running his business, and he was disgusted by how the media was portraying Dodi, even though he was a victim too. Mohammed Al-Fayed claimed that he had evidence for 175 separate conspiracy theories and paid for a documentary called Unlawful Killing to cover them all. Obviously, in this video, we can't go too deep into all of the conspiracy theories, but it was enough for the British government to ban the documentary from being seen in the United Kingdom. According to these conspiracy theories, Henri Paul was actually sober that day because the receipts from the hotel showed that he only had 2 drinks at dinner and had gone through a medical exam by security beforehand. He had actually outrun the paparazzi, and a mysterious white Fiat Uno followed them into the tunnel with a group of motorcycles. Some believe that these were MI6 agents who were being paid by the government to kill her. After inspecting the car, they discovered that the seatbelts in Henri Paul's car had been tampered with, which is why no one was wearing them. It also took over an hour and a half for the ambulance to get to the hospital, even though they were very nearby. Doctors believe that if Diana was wearing her seatbelt and had gotten medical attention sooner, she would have survived. Unfortunately, without videotape of the crash, we may never know the whole truth of the circumstances surrounding her death. Today, Princess Diana, she's not truly gone because she lives on in Prince William and Prince Harry's legacy. Because of her, they both do charitable work, and they married for love instead of finding a mate inside of the royal family. And we're sure that if she could see them today, she would truly be proud. So I hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up below, and don't.
I definitely found this interesting. Like I said, I knew very little about who Princess Diana was. And obviously, there's kind of 2 sides to any story, so obviously this is a very, this shows a very positive light to Princess Diana. It's the first time I'm really looking into her, but based off of what I learned here, she seemed to be a very good, kind-hearted person. My question is, where did he get all this information from? Is this from a biography from Princess Diana herself? Is this from interviews? Is it, or is this a combination of stuff? You know what I mean? But there's so much here that I don't even know really, what to say. It's just like it seemed like she had such a horrible upbringing that it led her to be just a very giving, kind-hearted, loving person as an adult. It led her to be something to others that she didn't feel like she received herself from her family growing up. I mean, they called her thick and it's just so many horrible things. And, she literally gave up, she wanted to live a normal life, it seemed like, but she couldn't never quite find that normal life. I did know that for some reason I had her associated with the AIDS epidemic, like she helped with that or somehow. And she did. I remember that for some reason. She seems like she was a very charitable person. There's a couple of conspiracy theories here that I'm like, okay, wow. Some people believe that she didn't just die in an accident. She was actually killed, and they implicate some people in the royal family, and then Harry may not be King Charles's son. Wow. Okay. Those are pretty deep, man. Wow. So are these conspiracy theories, are they popular? Is this something a lot of people believe? Is this, I mean, this is the first time I'm really hearing about this stuff. So I really don't have any, I can't really take a side on this because I mean, I get this one time hearing this and I got very little evidence to push me one way or the other. So it's just like, it just opens my mind and just kind of blows my mind. I'm like, wow, okay. The fact that these conspiracies are even talked about at all, it's just like, wow, that's crazy. But anyways, guys, based off of what I learned here, I can understand why she was loved by the people, why she's still loved by the people, why she's still being taught about positively on a magazine in a grocery store in America, 25, 26 years later after her death. I mean, that says something. So, wow. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. If you have other ideas of things I should look at in regards to this type of content, please feel free to share them in the comments, whether that's more stuff about Princess Diana, about her death, about her life, about other things about the royal family, or anything else, really. Please feel free to share those things. And if I see them, I definitely bookmark them and try to get to them at some point. But thank you for stopping by, guys. Please hit that subscribe button to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.